Hey everyone, it's Jessica from Pretty Prints and Paper. Today I'm talking about something very popular in the planner community, habit tracking. It's been all the rage, and ever since I joined the planner community last summer, it's been something that's really popular. People want to make changes in their lives and they want to see what's going on with their habits, and so tracking your habits seems to be the best way to do that. So, a couple different ways that people do that are monthly and weekly. Just to see what your behavior is really like over the course of the month or the week. So, which one will work better for you? Kara Bohoberry does that beautiful monthly tracker that we've all seen. I know Kim does a lot of tracking, Tiny Ray of Sunshine, and so do I. So when I started, it gets really easy to ask yourself, like, oh, what are all the things I should be tracking and this and that? And then before you know it, you're tracking like everything, which gets really overwhelming. If you've ever read the blog Zen Habits, Leo, the author, writes a lot about building habits and how you need to go one at a time and go slow and be really intentional about what those habits are. And so when I first started, I did a monthly tracker, which this is that version of my monthly tracker. I didn't want to draw a lot of lines, and so I printed it out on Excel. I printed it out on the top with all the dates and then the different habits on the side. Quickly, they all added up. I was tracking everything, but they fell into three different categories. They were things that I wanted to encourage myself to do on a more regular basis. Like I wanted to make sure that I flossed more, or go to bed at a certain time. I wanted to encourage myself to do that, and so that was a row that I wanted to fill in. There are other things that I was just curious about my behavior, and that are not something that I need to do every day, but that is something that I wanted to see when I did. So, how often was I going on walking meetings, or how often was I changing my contacts? Any contact users out there, you know those 2 weeks fly by really fast. And then there's just other things where you're wondering, when was the last time that I did that? When was the last time that I clipped my cat's nails? So these are just things that I wanted to see what my actual behavior was. So it starts off with you identifying what are those things for you. But what you'll also notice is that I struggled to fill this out a lot. So for me, I'm a out of sight, out of mind person. So I made this and I tried this for a couple months and it got really overwhelming. There was so much to look at, and I never filled it out every single day. So I wanted to try something that was a little more day to day. At some point, I added a row on my weekly that had like, oh, I want to do my logbook, so I wanted to journal, I wanted to do all these other things, and I wanted to see if I could add it to my daily. So I added a little column here, water intake. How many glasses of water was I drinking a day? How many steps was I getting a day? And then here, what are the unhealthy choices? You can see it's a tiny little candy wrapper that I was making every day. And that worked okay, but I wanted to track more than 3, but fewer than 25 habits. And so that brings me to what I use now, which is a weekly habit tracker. And really whittling it down to some of the key behaviors that I wanted to implement on a more daily basis. So after thinking about it, I started using this weekly habit tracking stamp. And that is a clear stamp that I get from Atelier Dreams on Etsy. I think it was like $8 including shipping, and it sent me the Monday or Sunday start headers with the boxes and the lines, and I just use simple black ink to stamp it in there. You'll need a clear block so you can attach the stamps, but this is what I've been using lately. and I add it to the bottom of my weekly tracker, which I use weeklies on a very religious basis. So every day this is open. So I see these things all the time. So the first step is identifying what are the habits that I wanted to track, which are no spend, no soda, spending 15 minutes cleaning every day, unwinding, and getting to bed by midnight. I tried doing a bed by 11 p.m. and then it just never worked out, so I was just honest with myself and changed it to midnight. Now, the point of this is to identify your behavior, which does nothing for you unless you do something with the data. Anybody who does evaluation for a living knows you have to do something with the data. So here's what I did, is I went back through and I started tallying. So I went back, okay, this week, and I started logging down. Where did it go? So how many days this month did I do a no spend? So how many days was I able to say, oh, I didn't spend anything today? Great. So 14 out of 29 days. And then I went back. How many days did I do no soda? So on and so forth. And I tallied it all in my weekly. I think I put it on, yeah, here's the page. So for February, this is how I did. Looking at it, I did 14 days of no spend, 17 days with no soda, got to bed by midnight 12 days out of the 29. I spent 18 days cleaning at least for 15 minutes, unwound 17 days out of 29. So not every day, but it's helpful to see my ratio of days versus the whole month. And then the tasks per day, on average, if I looked at how many times, how many days did I do multiple times a day? So it looks like on this Monday, I did 3 out of the 5, 2 out of the 5. And so I averaged that out. And on any given day, I do about 2.7 of these tasks with an average of 3.5 tasks per week. Or, yeah, 3.5 behaviors a week of that habit. So this tells me a couple things, right? This tells me that I need to try a little harder. Having the raw data really gives you some sense of control and reality check. Am I doing as well as I thought I was doing? So this then gives you a baseline to set the goal for your next month. So for March, I can set a new goal by looking at these numbers, excuse me. So if I want to get more serious about no spend, then maybe I'll set a goal for 20 out of the 31 days I will do a no spend. Or I will actually try to get to bed 20 out of 29 days. So this gives me some kind of metric to motivate myself to do better in March. And that's how you're going to change your behavior, is if you actually build off of the numbers that you are measuring. Because what's the point of doing this every day and checking off the boxes every day if it doesn't inform your future behavior? So decide what's important to you. For me, the no soda thing was one simple way that I could contribute to my overall health. Sleeping by midnight was another way to set myself up for success by getting enough hours of sleep. No spend is so I can really focus on some of our financial goals. We want to travel a lot, so as many days as I can say no to buying that coffee or buying that extra pen, then I'm closer to that goal that we share. And of course, unwinding. A lot of these things contribute to my overall health. So what are the things that are important to you? That's not to say that you shouldn't use other trackers, especially when you have chores and a house to clean, right? So you want to know when the last time was that you washed your sheets or did your baseboards or things like that. And that I like to put on my refrigerator so that my husband and I can kind of see together what needs to be done and not just in my personal notebook. Then it empowers both of us to use that data and use the tracker to encourage us to do things like, cleaning. But this is a way for you to use what you're already doing and fuel and feed forward into the next. So that's how I use habit trackers. How are you using a habit tracker? Did I miss something, or what do you use it for? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, like it, subscribe, share. Otherwise, I will see you in my next video. Bye.